Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be covering the 3 most common injuries when it comes to tabla playing and how you can alleviate them. Now, I was inspired to make this yesterday when I was teaching a class and the student of mine who's already practicing 2 hours wanted to do more, but he was limited by his neck and back injuries. And I've had my fair share of injuries, as well as I've seen the injuries a lot of other tabla players have had. So I really wanted to discuss this topic. Now, before I get to any of this, I've created a community on the platform Skool. The link is in the description. There we have live sessions every weekend. We have exercises to build your hand. We also have a community of just hundreds of people from all around the world sharing their knowledge and input. So click the link below and join this free community. Next, if you want to learn from me privately and just have someone that'll keep you accountable, make sure you're doing your practices, and I'll also work with you on your clarity. You can either email me or join Skool and message me there. Now, the 3 most common injuries. The first would be the wrist, and I'll get into why that is, the shoulder, and the neck and back area, basically the vertebrae itself. So let's talk first about the wrist. Now, the reason why people have wrist pain for the most part, this is the most common reason, is that they're usually, and I teach a lot of people with corporate jobs, so they're on the computer all day long, and just the way that the forearm rests on the table will make your wrist tight naturally. So I want you to look into how you can position your wrist properly. It's, I think, known as ergonomics. So looking into that a little bit will help. Some people put some sort of pad right underneath their keyboard, which can also help. But here's some ways that you can reduce the tension in your forearm that will just help you open up your wrist. So this is one way. This is using a tennis ball basically, and just going, basically he's just rolling it back and forth, and that tennis ball is pushing the tendons, and I believe it's called fascia, in his forearm, and basically with that he's able to loosen up his forearm, which will give you better wrist mobility. Another way you can also do that is by foam rolling your forearm like this, which is also a good way. You can definitely try both of these methods, but they're both generally good at just loosening up the forearm. And like I said, this is because of typing all day. The other thing that'll happen when your forearm loosens up is your playing should improve, because it's all about the wrist and how much you can just let it flow. So I highly recommend using either of these 2 methods. The last thing I'll say about the wrist is that when you're starting to practice, don't just immediately try to go full speed. Take your time to warm up and then really get to speed, at least 5-10 minutes in just a warm-up state. And then your wrist and forearm should be loose enough that you can play properly. Next, we're going to get into the lower back and neck. Now, this is, I think, by far the most common injury, I think, not even just in tabla playing, but just people in general, I think. So the lower back is also another issue that is caused by, I think, sitting at a desk or just sitting a long time every day. You're naturally kind of hunched over, and I just noticed even as I'm making this video, I'm a bit hunched forward. So you're just naturally kind of forward all day. We're checking our phones. We're looking down at the tabla. So for those reasons, we're putting a lot of strain on our lower back. Now, I'm going to show you a YouTube channel. The YouTuber's named Connor Harris. He makes some of the most detailed and best videos, not just for your lower back, but for really your posture as a whole. So let's take a look at that. So here he's recommending someone to lay in this position, and they have their feet elevated like this. They have a ball in between their knees. Now, the ball isn't the most important part. The main thing is the position that they're in. And you can see the emphasis this is putting on his lower back. His back, as of this moment, and neck are basically being straightened by the position that he's in. And of course, it helps to have some support on your feet like this as well. So this is really important. And it does something really also beneficial, which is when you're in this position, you should focus on breathing properly, which is making sure your rib cage goes up and down. It's not really commonly known, but the rib cage has a lot to do with shoulder injuries as well. Basically, when your shoulder is too far forward, it's not really properly connected, I guess, to the rib cage. I could go on about that and explain that a bit better, but the main thing is that I'd say work on your breathing as well in this technique. The other thing I'd say is sleeping on the floor is just really beneficial. In fact, I usually try, and I haven't done this lately, but I usually try before I go to sleep. I try to stay in that position that I just showed you in the video, and that really helps quite a bit. It's such a joy the next day or doing this for a week. When you're able to stand up straight and your hips are in the right place, you just feel like you're walking taller, and it just feels really good. And you can prevent a lot of the lower back and neck injuries with this. Next, we're going to talk specifically about the shoulder. Now, the shoulder, I've had definitely experience with this. I think, trying to lift weights that were too heavy, and my shoulder just, I think, came forward, and I think I tore a tendon or something like that. So I have a lot of experience with shoulders, with shoulder health, I guess. Now, the main reason why we have shoulder issues, and all of these issues are just are side effects of our modern lifestyles. We don't ever really reach up much with our hands. Everything we do, like tabla playing, is all keeping the shoulders down. Maybe if you're lifting something, you'll bring it up to this height, but we rarely actually take the shoulder to its full height. We barely do anything with our hands above our head. So because of that, the shoulder doesn't get its mobility because it is a very complex joint, just like your knees. So I'm going to show you an exercise. The YouTuber is named Mark Wildman. It's all about mace bell exercises. Let's take a look at that. So here he is, and he's basically, if the video plays, yes, he's basically doing these mace bell exercises. Now, this was very common in the Akara style workouts and I know Akara is mainly wrestling, but they would do this to work out for their wrestling, basically. So this was really common in the early 1900s. And basically what would happen is that they would do these type of workouts, and it would just really work your upper body, basically, your chest, but especially your shoulders. And doing this will really just loosen up your shoulders. You'll have more mobility, and it just goes so well with tabla playing. I can't stress that enough. You can buy a mace bell almost anywhere online, on Amazon, places like that, and just do light weights for maybe every other day. And maybe once a week, get a heavier mace bell and just really do these exercises. It's not really about going very heavy, but it's more about just taking the shoulder through all the different movements that you can take it through. So those are 3 methods I really recommend to just prevent pain and just come back to more ease in your tabla playing. I can't tell you how much better that I never had much wrist pain, but sleeping on the floor and doing those mace bell workouts have really helped my tabla playing health, I guess you can call it, quite a bit. And I've even noticed that when I don't do these things, I start getting pain in my neck and my shoulders. But with these, I've really been able to play. And it's just something you don't have to worry about. Nothing here I've said takes a long time. You just sleep on the floor. That does take some time to get used to. Just 5 minutes of the shoulder mace bell workouts, a little foam rolling, and you just don't have to worry about it anymore. So those are 3 ways to play pain-free. Thank you.